In this lecture, we will discuss about cybersecurity supply chain risk management, which is the sixth and the last category of govern function. Supply chain has total 10 subcategories. First subcategory requires that cybersecurity supply chain risk management policy and procedures are established. To implement this, you need to define and document cybersecurity supply chain risk management policies and relevant procedure. You may like to refer clause 19 of our cybersecurity policy. We have drafted a well-defined cybersecurity supply chain risk management procedures. You may like to use the same template. Second subcategory requires that cybersecurity roles and responsibilities for suppliers, customers, and partners are established and appropriately communicated. To implement this, what you need to do is first define the roles and responsibility and include that roles and responsibility in the contract documents. Communicate the roles and responsibilities to all the relevant parties. You may like to refer clause 19 of our cybersecurity policy. We have defined cybersecurity roles and responsibilities as applicable for suppliers and customers. You may like to use the same template. Third subcategory requires integration of supply chain risk with overall enterprise risk management processes. To implement this, what you need to do, risk-related supply chain should be identified and included in the risk assessment. Refer our template 3, that is risk register. We have identified few cybersecurity supply chain related risk. You may like to use the same template and modify according to your requirement. Fourth subcategory requires suppliers are known and prioritized by their criticality. To implement this, maintain documented criteria for supplier criticality assessment. That is how you will define a criticality of your supplier. You need to have a documented procedure. Give priority to highly critical supplier while conducting risk assessment, audits, BCP, incident response drills, etc. As we discussed earlier, we have defined criteria for determining the criticality of suppliers in clause 19 of our cybersecurity policy. You may like to use the same template. Fifth subcategory requires that risk mitigation measures are incorporated into the contracts and other types of agreements with the suppliers and other relevant third parties. So this is simple to implement. What you need to do is to incorporate the above defined cybersecurity roles and responsibility in the contracts and other agreements. Let us now discuss about sixth subcategory, which requires that planning and due diligence are performed to reduce the risk before entering into formal supplier or other third-party relationships. To implement this, you need to prepare a due diligence report before entering into contract. You may like to refer our template number 4, wherein we have drafted a supplier cybersecurity due diligence report. You may like to use the same template. Let us now discuss about seventh subcategory, which requires that risk posed by the vendor, their products and services are well managed. To implement this, risk related to supply chain should be identified and included in the risk assessment. You may like to refer our template number 3, wherein we have identified few supply chain related risk. You may like to use the same template. Eighth subcategory requires that relevant suppliers and other third parties are included in incident planning, response and recovery activities. This is simple. You may like to refer clause 12 of our template incident management policy. We have drafted procedures for including relevant suppliers and other third parties in incident planning and other drills. You may like to use the same template. Ninth subcategory requires that supply chain security practices are monitored throughout the product and service life cycle. To implement this, you need to perform periodic review audit of your suppliers, processes and their products. 10th subcategory requires well-defined security procedures post termination of the contract. To implement this, you need to ensure that contract includes post termination responsibilities such as secure destructions of the records data and continued confidentiality of your data. That's all for this lecture. In our next lecture, we will discuss about second function, that is identify. Thanks for watching.
If you like this video and want to have complete access to our CSF 2.0 course, please do check the link available at the description.